What's going on, Ira? How have you been?
All good. How about you? How's your summer going?
Oh, it's going pretty well. How's your summer?
It's all good. They've been very busy at the pool and very hot, and it's going way too fast.
Yeah,
I can't believe it's almost August.
it is. It's blowing by here, and report day is already tomorrow.
I know it's crazy. Just as much as I've been anxiously waiting for it. Um, I wanted to slow down because once camp kicks off, you turn around and it's September.
Exactly. And it's going to be preseason here in no time, and then the regular season is going to be starting. But man, I'm just curious to see what Becton's going to be looking like for report day because I've seen some pictures on Twitter. I don't know if you saw him. He looks to be in shape, actually.
Well, that's good. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not on social media, so I haven't seen anything. Well, I mean, that's all positive. Listen, I want to be totally wrong about this guy.
Yeah.
So hopefully, hopefully he's down some pounds. Hopefully his knee is sound, and listen, the ability is there. This is whether this guy loves football or not. That's what it comes down to.
It does. I'm looking forward to seeing him get back out on the field, and I know he's big on proving all the naysayers and the haters wrong because I know he had a T-shirt saying all the things that people were criticizing him for, and he was wearing it while working out and just during the off season.
Well, that's the one thing that kind of tweaked me. I guess in life, but really in that business, you have to have thick skin.
Yeah.
And if you have to put up a T-shirt, kind of, telling people to shut up, then I got I got pretty much of a red flag on what's going through his head.
hmm
But you know what? If it works for him, good for him.
I remember last time that we talked, or one of the last times, you said that you would be toning down going to the games this year. Has that changed, or are you going to be going to all the home games as usual, and the
Oh
away
no, no, the
games?
home games going. No, no, unless God forbid, something's wrong. The home games will work good on. That's not a problem. The road games, once again, I have all my plans set. I'm making most of them, except I'm not going to the West Coast.
Okay,
I'm not going to go to Denver, Seattle, and I'm not going to Minnesota.
I don't
They
blame
just,
you.
it's a West Coast trip. You're looking for a 2 or 3 day deal, and you know what? Since we're still kind of dealing with what's going on with COVID, I just want to be safe, and I try to keep the local stuff, and it'll be good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a fun season.
I think it will. Are you looking forward to meeting Zach Wilson this season? Hopefully.
Um, yeah, what's funny with the players? Yeah, it'll be nice, but it's not like years ago. Years ago, you had the namers, the Penningtons, Vinny, these type of guys, Curtis, Cotchery, Altoon, Wesley Walker. I mean, but today's athlete, it's different. The money that's involved, and of course, on their end, I'm sure they have to be very cautious of who they get close with or not, just because of the way the world is today. Um, just a different mindset. It's the young generation, and they just look at things differently. And you know, if you get to meet them, fine, but it's not like the players from years ago. They're in a different world today.
They are. Have you been keeping up with the stories in the offseason about Zach Wilson and the controversy in the papers?
I haven't I'm well aware of what's going on. It's just I I'm not going to really put too much into it. I personally, as long as he's not breaking the law, if he goes out and plays good football and we win football games, I couldn't care less what he does. Just don't break the law. Listen, whatever floats your boat, do what you got to do. Just go out there and make sure you're prepared for something. That's all I care about.
Oh, yeah, it's been the talk of the off season here within the past couple weeks about that whole situation going on. But you're gonna
I
have the
know.
analytics and the analysts out there on the radio and TV. They're already starting, and I've even talked about it on my shows because as a Jets fan, we've been rooting for this team for years, and we've had hope on different quarterbacks who came in here, especially as rookies and taking the leap in year two. But are you having any concerns for year two, Zach Wilson leap?
Um, well, it depends how much of a leap you're looking at. If you're looking at a Josh Allen type of leap, I don't, I don't think that's going to happen because I still think he has a ways to go. But I do expect him to be improved. I think he's going to play better. But I'm still going to go down to one thing. The offense operated, even though they didn't win games, with Mike White, Joe Flacco, and Johnson. They moved the ball and they scored points and they played within the system. Wilson has better talent than all of them combined, but he needs to learn how to play within that system.
I agree.
And if he's going to start pedaling back and backtracking and losing 12 yards or throwing the ball up for grab, then that's not a good sign. We're going to know right away.
We are.
If he has commanded a huddle and he knows his reads and he hits his guys and he's not messing around back there and the line's protecting him, then we know we're headed in the right direction. If he starts losing 10 yards at a clip because he's holding on to the ball, then you got to start holding it back.
According to all the players in the facility, they said he's grown more mature, and you could tell he has a different type of swag to him than he did last year.
Yes, I've heard the same. And listen, what was he? 21 years old this year? Is that what he was?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Think about it. He came from BYU, 21 years old, naive in New York City, New Jersey. I think his head was swimming. Number 2 draft. So I think there was a lot going on. And I'll still stand to it. You could make the argument that the Jets threw him in too early, and you could make the argument that the roster was depleted, so let him just learn from day one. And you could go either way. I think that injury that he had, that was what, against New England when he hurt his knee, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because he missed 3 or 4 games. He got to sit back. He got to kind of get his head together, and it showed, because when he came back for the last 4 or 5 games, he definitely played a lot. I forget the last game. That was crazy, that game up in Buffalo. But the games leading up to that,
the Buccaneers game specifically.
Well. The Buccaneer game is kind of what you and I expected out of him.
Yeah.
I think he had some really big time throws in clutch time, and of course they should have won that game. They came up short. But you know what? If he performs like that and he starts the season like that, then it's everything that you and I thought of this guy. And I still think that this guy's our quarterback, but he's got to go out there and prove it.
He does. What's scary to me is because we've had the faith in the rookie quarterbacks before, and now the pressure is on him, because everyone keeps saying that when you read the papers and you read anything about the Jets, they say, well, now all the pieces are here, so now it's up to Zach Wilson. And now, say if Zach Wilson doesn't take the next step, the next leap in this year 2, do you think Joe Douglas is going to give him another year, or is he going to be so reluctant because he has to save his own neck and find something quick, because he keeps drafting all these players? And especially if the other players turn out in the past 2 drafts, do you think that he's going to look to find another quarterback if he doesn't think Zach Wilson's the answer and he has an abysmal season?
Well, my gut feeling, just from following the Jets since Woody has owned the team and his always searching for this star-studded quarterback, if things don't pan out for Wilson the way we're hoping or we expect him to be, I don't even think it's going to be in Joe Douglas' hands. I think Woody's going to step in. He says, we have a really good team. We got all the pieces in place. This quarterback is not maturing as quickly as we thought to. He says, we have to win now. And if there's any type of quarterback carousel next year like there was this offseason, I think Woody will get pressure on Douglas, and I think he'll have to go get himself a veteran that, and nothing against Flacco, but somebody that Zach's going to have to beat out in camp to win his job back.
I think you're right about that. And it's just worrisome because we've seen this in the past with different quarterbacks. And the main key here is to make sure that he stays focused on the field, because as soon as you got Sanchez there, when you brought in Tebow, that's when things started to really go downhill, because you're changing up his system. They're bringing in Plexico Burress. We've talked about it before, but that Tebow thing, a lot of the game is mental.
Oh, of course. I mean, especially with the quarterbacks. I mean, don't kid yourself. You take all these quarterbacks who are number 1 quarterbacks. Most of them have God-gifted talent on, size, running, especially in today's the way the NFL has, changed. It's what's upstairs and what they see between their ears, what they think, and what they see with their eyes. And once the game slows down and they understand defenses, the better quarterbacks to have success.
Yeah.
The ones, I mean, basically the talent, for the most part, you may take maybe 2 or 3 guys, put them a notch above everybody else, but they're all good.
Yeah.
It's how they understand the game mentally, and that's really what it comes down to.
It does. It does come down to everything mentally. And speaking of former first round picks, we talked about it on the last show about potentially Baker Mayfield going to the
Yeah.
Panthers and Darnold being there as well. Well, that actually happened a few weeks ago.
I know, it's unbelievable. I asked somebody this question, and they couldn't give me an answer, and I didn't really do the research, and I still think I'm probably going to be right. I think there's probably no team that had the number 1 pick and the number 3 pick, and they're both quarterbacks, competing for a roster spot 4 years after they were drafted on the same team. I don't think that was ever done.
No, I don't think so. I never heard of it, so this is probably the first time.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think, listen, what do I know? I find it hard to believe that the Panthers are going to go with Donald as an $18 million backup. But I still think he'll end up with Pete Carroll in Seattle. Or if, God forbid, somebody's quarterback, has a season-ending injury, in training camp, I wouldn't be surprised if Donald gets traded. I really find it hard to believe that both of them are going to be on that team opening day roster. I think Mayfield will be the quarterback, and I could be wrong, but I think Donald will be somewhere else.
I think you're right. Mayfield's the better quarterback, and he played injured last year, so a lot of the interceptions came off of him playing injured as well. So I expected him to return to regular form, and now I think he has a chip on his shoulder, but especially how Cleveland treated him, just getting rid of him for Deshaun Watson. And in Cleveland, they keep working out a new quarterback every day here, just in case Watson is really suspended here for 8 games.
Well, that's still an amazing story because we got camps opening up, and nothing. I mean, I find it hard to believe that the Browns in the NFL, the NFL haven't told the Browns, listen, this is what's going down. They just haven't made it public. I mean, they have to. They're running a business. They have to know what they have to do. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I don't see how Watson is not suspended for at least the first 6 to 8 games a year, if not more.
No, I don't see it either, especially all the backlash that he's been getting. And then as soon as he did sign his deal, which I didn't want to happen, but it happened, more people came forward. And I said, this is why a team shouldn't take risks on him, because this would probably happen.
100%. And, nothing against Watson, but when you look at our first 4 games, I'm not sure what's going to happen with the Ravens game. I think that's a really tough game.
The Browns, the Bengals.
But you can't go into Cleveland and lose to Jacoby Brissett. You can't do that.
No.
You have to win that game. And I know the Steelers in Pittsburgh are really tough. The defense is still really good. But if the Jets are going to have some type of successful season, they have to beat the Browns in Pittsburgh. I know the games are on the road, but you have to win those 2 games.
They do. Robert Saleh's made it clear. I don't know if you saw the clip going around on social media or just on TV. Maybe SNY showed it, but he called out the players. He said the losing stops here, especially within the division in the AFC East. He said the losing stops.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I want to hear more like that. It's been a long time since we heard that. So, that's a good thing. And, I'm going to stick with what I've been saying. I think they'll probably win 2 division games, but if somehow they could find a way to win 3 division games, I think they're going to be knocking on the door of an 8 or 9 win season.
Yeah, and that's progress from last year.
Progress. This is just like winning the Super Bowl compared to what they've done the last couple of years. They jump up to that 8 or 9 mark. I mean, I have them at 7. I think 8 and 9 is the ceiling. And if they can stay healthy and, Zach progresses and everything goes right, you get a couple of lucky bounces, maybe that Thursday night game against Jacksonville, maybe we got something on the line that night. Who knows?
Maybe. I hope we're playing for something here, because every time that we open a season, the season's usually done by the end of September.
I know. It's been, except for that 15 season, it's been a rough 10 years. It really has. You really think about it.
It has
and
been.
I think this year, I mean, I wouldn't, those first 9 games, the first 4 games, excuse me, you know what they have. And I forget in which order, they got Green Bay, they have Denver, they got the Pats twice, they got the Bills. So after those first 9 games, if they can get to 3 and 6, it's not horrible because you got a lot of winnable teams. You got the Bears, the Lions, the Vikings, Jacksonville, Seattle. So you could
You
if
could.
they ever get to four, if they ever end up 4-5 at the bye, now you may be talking about maybe sneaking into the playoffs.
There's also some rumors that the Jets may not be done as far as business-wise and making other moves. I don't know if you've heard of Bates from the Bengals potentially trading for him to get him into the safety room.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think they're sold on Joyner, and I certainly wouldn't trust Ashton Davis. I think Jason Pinnock kind of interests me this summer. I want to see if he could keep on growing as a safety. And, of course, I fully expect them to get a veteran offensive tackle at some point, just like they did with Morgan Moses.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have some type of insurance, and they still need linebacker help.
They need linebacker help. Yeah, that's going to be like if they don't address it within the season or before the season even starts, I think you're going to see that's going to be the offseason needs for next year: linebacker, safety, and offensive line. And I agree with the upgraded offensive line. I feel as though that they did make the move with Lake and Tomlinson there, but I feel as though they're still going to need other pieces. I mean, Connor McGovern, I don't know if he's going to be here for another couple of years here because I feel as though that we should upgrade him with a rookie, perhaps.
True. I mean, I felt the same way, but they seem to be very hard on him. So I don't think they're concerned about that. But that swing man, if the left or right, whoever's playing left or right tackle, however
George
that plays
Fan
out,
or Mekhi
right,
Becton.
right, or Becton, right. So if one of those two, if they go down for any type of length of time, they really, unless somebody surprises you, Max Mitchell is not ready to play right now.
No.
And Connor McDermott is not a starting caliber tackle.
No.
So they got to go get themselves a veteran because you got to have that insurance, and I think they will, just like they will with linebacker. Because God forbid C.J. Mosley or Quincy Williams gets hurt, they're really thin after that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Douglas will be watching the waiver wire, watching the trade market, along with safety. And I think if I think I wouldn't be shocked if safety, linebacker, and backup offensive lineman are all addressed before opening day.
Mm-hmm. I love how Zach Wilson's been working out with all the players on the team, especially the new additions with the new rookies as well with Garrett Wilson, because they've been raving about him, and even the other wide receivers in the room have been saying, yeah, this guy can really play, and I'm glad to have him in the ball club.
Yeah, no, I think the skill position players are really set. And, I think the day that Denzel Mims, I think it's done.
I think so,
because,
too.
I mean, your top three receivers in no particular order, you got Elijah Moore, you got Garrett Wilson, and you got Corey Davis. So 3 spots are already taken up. You got Berrios in the 4th slot. I think they're only going to go, I could be wrong, but I think they're only going to go with 5 receivers because I think they're going to keep the 3 tight ends on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
So the 5th receiver, his impact is going to be special teams. Jeff Smith is head and shoulders a much better special teams contributor than Denzel Mims could ever be.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't see a spot for Denzel Mims on this team this year.
No, especially now that we have actual 3 tight ends on the roster. This is the first time in a while that we've had actually some decent tight ends.
That's exactly right, and that's going to be the go-to. That's going to be the safety valve for Zach.
It is.
As long as Zach recognizes that he doesn't have to force it. He has a back coming out of the backfield. He's going to have probably 2 tight ends on the field a lot of times. Somebody's going to be open. And I said this to somebody the other day. When was the last time you had a Jets team offensively when a defensive coordinator from another team is preparing to play the Jets that they actually have to stay up at night and worry about who they get to stop?
Exactly. It's been a while. And if you think about it, if we're talking specifically about tight end, Dustin Keller in the Rex Ryan years.
That's exactly right. And now you're talking about potentially 2 Dustin Kellers.
Yeah.
Because you got Uzama and you got Conklin and you got the rookie, Ruckert from Ohio State. So, it's like, going back to Zach Wilson, it's all on him now. There's no excuses. I know there's still a bit of a learning curve, but he's got to show progress here.
He has to live up to the hype, especially in the offseason here with all of his players saying that he's really matured. He's got a new swag to him because, like we discussed earlier, if he doesn't pan out and take the next step in year 2 and he's playing abysmal football, they're going to be taking the axe out here because I think Douglas he wants to win. He wants to start winning here, and he has to save his job because all the pieces are in place now.
I'm telling you, the owner will step in
Yeah.
and make a quarterback move if Wilson struggles this year. Take that to the bank. Woody Johnson is like starstruck for a star quarterback. You saw what happened with Favre. Okay, you know, he used high draft picks. He is not going to let a talented roster go into next year with a question mark at quarterback.
No.
It will not happen.
No. And I hope it is I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that Zach Wilson truly is our answer because I'm tired of drafting quarterbacks. The never ending search for our franchise quarterback has been going on and on. We could say since Namath, but I just want it to end with, and if they have to go on that route, I hope they get a young veteran in here so we can make him our franchise quarterback. I don't want some older veteran here that's on his way out like Fitzpatrick.
No, I get it, and you know, hopefully this is all a moot point because I still think Wilson's going to pan out. And you know, we even talk about the running game.
Breece Hall, you know, I'm looking forward to him.
I am so stoked about watching this kid because I think this kid's going to be the best running back we've had since Curtis Martin.
I agree. He's the best running back in the draft, especially on the rank boards. And you can't forget about Michael Carter. It's a two-headed punch right there.
That's right. You know, you have the two of them. You have Tevin Coleman. You know, that's a really nice group. And, you know, no disrespect to Wilson, but like if the Jets had like an established top 10 quarterback right now, then you're talking about this team contending for a playoff spot.
I agree. Even if they had someone like Kyler Murray, he got a big deal the other day.
I know the money's crazy. I mean, I think he's a good quarterback. Is he worth that type of money? No. But you know what? It's the next man up, and that's what the market shows. You know, that's what the quarterback money's going for. And I know there's one or two guys that are still coming up for deals. And they're probably going to get more money than him, whether they deserve it or not. It's never ending. The salaries and the prices go up. The salary cap in the next couple of years is going to go up another $20 to $30 billion. The TV contracts is selling rights to Amazon and bids to Google and all these streaming services. You know, the Thursday night package, except for local games, I think you have to have Amazon Prime to watch Thursday night. So it's just the money machine in the NFL just keeps on going, and the owners get richer. The players deservingly should get as much money as they can, and the fans, it comes out of our pocket.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that you saw it. I've been keeping up with the story. Potentially, Joe Klecko could be getting into the Hall of Fame here sooner than later. About time.
Well, it is. This is a long time coming, and hopefully it gets over the hurdle this time because it's really been a crime that he still isn't in the Hall of Fame. It's a disgrace.
Yeah, it really is, especially with the sack exchange and the numbers that he put up in the 80s and being a Pro Bowler and All-Pro just in all four positions on the defensive line. One of the best to do it. And I don't know if you heard Braxton Berrios saying that if they don't make the playoffs this year, the season's a failure.
Well, that's good to hear. It's really good to hear. And you know what? And listen, do I have concern about Salah? Absolutely. He's got to show me improvement. I think he's done a fabulous job with building team chemistry, with having these guys focused during the off-season, and the camaraderie. But, now, when it's 3rd down and 1 with 2 and change left on the clock, now he's got to show me he's going to make the right decisions. Mm. And I think that's part of the learning curve with him, just like it was with Jack Wilson. And I think he's going to grow, but he's got to show it to me.
Yeah. He does, especially the offensive coordinator here. He has to make the leap as well.
And you know what? I think he will. And you know how I was all over this guy in the beginning of the year last year. But once he moved upstairs in the booth, he calmed down. I think he did really, really, he had a strong finish. And I think he'll start off the year the way he left off.
I agree. Ira, is there anything else you want to discuss here that we didn't cover? I know we covered the running game. Anything else that you want to get out here about the Jets?
It looks like we're in a good position because we've had musical kickers for the last couple of years. But it looks like Zerline's going to probably be the guy, I would think.
Yeah, he's a big-time veteran. I remember when they signed him, it was such a big deal.
Well, it is. I mean, they should have never let Jason Myers go with the Seahawks, I believe so, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they should have never let him go. And we must have had at least a dozen kickers since Jason Myers.
Exactly.
So
We've been trying to find the replacement kicker since Folk left.
that's right. And by the way, he just came off a career year up in New England last year.
He did.
So yeah. So I have full faith in Verline that he's going to be the man this year. And like I said, I got them at 7, and I think 8 and 9 is the ceiling. It's going to be a fun year, and can't wait to kick it off on Wednesday.
I'm looking forward to it, Ira. We got to do another show once preseason comes about here, once we're deep into the preseason games and as the season begins. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, just let me know, and always rooting for you, and looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it, Ira. Enjoy the rest of your night. Take care. Stay safe, and go Jets.
Sounds good. You got it.
You got it. Take care, Ira.